Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. It's about 8:15 a.m. here on the East Coast of the U.S. I wanted to show you guys a quick morning weekend analysis so you guys know what's happening into the weekend and what to look out for. Okay, so let's go from small time frames to large, and let's see what we got here today and see what we can make out of it. All right, so here we go. So on the smaller time frames, folks, again, yesterday, I mentioned this to our Advantage members, and if you even watched my video yesterday, I said this. I said from this high to this low, I would expect price to come between the 50 and the 618 fib to open up some short positions. Again, I got a bonus, and it went to the 70.5 fib. And I mentioned that this would be a good idea to load up on shorts. Okay, if you had not already. Again, in our community, we actually got an even better position because I started loading up on shorts on 256, 82.56 on average. So that was over here. All right, so in this entire run up, we were actually loading up on shorts and averaging into it right up here. All right, so we're good. We have a $150 cushion in the Cryptosomniac Advantage community, whoever shorted with us. Okay, now if you are watching this free video and you got to get in on some shorts, you're doing pretty decent too, even if you got in right here, right? Let's just say 170 was your average, or 168. You're still about $60, $70 into a good cushion for your short. So you can either take some profit here, or you can consider more downside. So let's look at where exactly we think prices should be. All right. So on the 1 hour chart, okay, again, all we've really done is just ranged sideways for a little while. So really not a whole lot has come out of this price action. All right. And this is kind of how I'm looking at the fibs. Okay. There's two different fib structures that I'm looking at. First is from this high to this low, which is about $8,800 down to $7,700. That's really the big range, but from the initial drop off and the first rejection from the bears, where price was not allowed to come up any bit, and then more of the local ranging that we've had from this bottom that was put into this top, all right, which is between 85.30 and 7,700. Okay, so in this ranging right here, what we're seeing is price is coming back to just under the 50 fib right now, and it looks like it wants to come back to the 618 fib. Now, this purple box that you see, this demand box, okay, it comes from this pullback right here before this big leg up, as you can see, right? So this little area right here that was held up before this big move, we call these order blocks because this is the key area where professionals or algorithms either got into a price or held down the price to get into a price, and then really just drove the price up. Okay. So what we say is, we draw this as an order block, and we say, okay, price is now coming back into that same order block, which is this purple right here. But what is it doing? You can see that it's not doing a whole lot. It's touched here once, touched here again. Now it's coming back to just sit on top of the order block. More than likely when this happens, it leads to more downside, okay? You don't come back to an order block again and again. You simply just tap it and you just take off, okay? So this is not a good sign, all right? And you can see that in the red right here, parallel channel, all we've really been doing since October 1st, the beginning of the month, is we're just ranging down. All we're doing is doing something like this, like that, like that, like that. And we're not doing anything more than that, okay? Good thing is, I guess you can say that we're above the EQ, which is this white dash line that you see going down. But, the worst thing is that this red block right here that you see going sideways horizontally, right? Every time prices come back to it, okay, it typically has gotten rejected or gotten support in one direction or the other. And in this case, it's gotten rejected, right? So you can see rejection right there, clean rejection, a very clean rejection again, and now we're falling down further. So all we can say right now is more than likely price has a higher probability of going down. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to go down all the way. It could actually even bounce between the 618 fib and the 70.5 fib. and then maybe push back up, maybe at least go back to this red block again and maybe stop out some late shorts, or it could, overextend the push down here, get people to short late down here in this region, and then push back up, right? So there's a lot of different possibilities that I like to look at, all of which I do consider, but I like to look at, the larger time frames, and the larger time frames have already been sort of speaking to me in a way where, you can see that in this sideways ranging, right, there's really nothing else that I can see other than, let's see, you could see this 4-hour EQ, right? EQ, this white band right there. You could see these 4-hour candles have been good when they've actually closed above here. But once you start closing under, all right, you can see clear rejection, okay? Rejection right there, pulls back down. Second rejection with a lower high, pulls back down further. So we've now made a stance. The bears have now made a stance saying that, all right, you shall not pass. You shall not pass this white dashed line, which is the EQ of this range, meaning we now have potentially more downside. And if we turn on the volume and we turn on our indicators, okay, you could see that the Stoke has a bit more room to go going into oversold, and the RSI definitely has more room to go. Okay, I'm going to close this out. Delete this and delete this. I think these are all coming from different time frames. So you can see that every single trend line that I had has been broken, and you can see now the RSI is now looking to touch this trend line from this touch to this touch, which means that it has a bit more downside to go, and I could see it bouncing just a little bit from the 61.8 to the 70.5 fib. Okay, if the RSI gets touched on that trend line and then bounces up. But again, more than likely, I'm a bit more confident that the daily chart is telling us that we may have more downside ahead. You can already see this clearly. Let me see if it's on this chart right here. You can already see this clearly on this chart, okay? So I said that the weekly and the Tuesday high is right there, okay? My stop for my short, because this is a swing trading short, is well above here. But that doesn't mean that I'm just going to hold on to my short if I just see prices just moving on up. I'll either, take profit where I can, or whether it's down here or up here, or I will hedge a long position. Okay, and the way you hedge long positions is you either have a second Deribit or BitMEX or Bybit account, or you can spot buy Bitcoin, whether it's on Binance or Coinbase Pro, and that way you cover some of your losses as your short is bleeding on the way up. Okay, because if you are confident that it can go up here and then still pull back down, then that means that you have to stay comfortable in a losing position for a little while until it comes back down again. Okay, but for the most part, okay, going back to this daily chart, I'm fairly confident that this rejection right here was it. Okay, this was really the sort of nail in the coffin for the bulls. Okay, and I think now we're going to see more downside. Now what we're really looking for is a close under this weekly open and this daily support right here. Okay, so that's currently around 8,050. It differs from exchange to exchange. It's maybe $10, $15 here and there, but as per Bybit right now, it's about $8,050. So if we see a daily close under 8,050, whether it's by today or tomorrow or even the day after, all bets are off, right? That means that, we're going to go down pretty fast. How far we're going to go down, that's still sort of, left up to question. I mean, personally, there's still a good amount of support, I would say, right here. As you can see, there's still, a bit more cushion in this like purple block right there. We can even go down to the bottom of this wick right around maybe 74, 7,500 and then push back up. But the point is that we will probably have more than likely more downside before upside. Okay. And that's, not my bias or anything. Listen, I would be the first person to be happy about Bitcoin just bouncing from here and then just taking off. But that's not really what the charts are showing us. Okay. So with that being said, the the daily chart is showing us that it's already increasingly weaker. Okay, this daily candle was 1 day saved from this one and this one. Okay, so I stated even up here, I said that this was probably a good opportunity to short, but we want to wait for this candle to close. And then once this one opened, we basically opened and opened a short position on the high of this one. All right, or maybe it was like the wick of this one right near the closing. So with that being said, now the last sort of line in the sand for the bulls to hold a position is 8,050, which is the bottom of these candles, as you can see right there. Okay, this is really it. Okay, other than that, it's just more downside ahead. Okay, now I wanted to show you guys the monthly as well. And the reason I want to show you the monthly is, let me actually go back to the weekly real quick so we can look at the pivots. Let's see. I'm going to turn on the volume profile and the pivots because they are pretty important. All right, so here we are on the pivots. And I'm going to turn off the historical pivots, right? So this way we look at, exactly what's happened in the local price action, right? Okay, so in the historical pivots right there, or I'm sorry, the local pivots, you can see price is currently hovering at the pivot. Okay, now this is not really a good sign or bad sign, but it doesn't lean to a bullish sign because typically you want to kind of, just come to the pivot and then just take off. But that's really not been the case right now. Okay, really over here, you can make the argument that this was a pretty bad sign, that this candle bled under the pivot, but you can see the follow-up candle right here was very bullish, right? You cannot see that here. Though we have another day and a half to go, we would need a significantly bullish candle. Maybe it has to close above $8,700, $8,800 in the next day and a half. And this candle right here to give us that alarm of, okay, wow, we could go bullish for the next coming weeks. Hasn't happened yet, so I can only assume that price just sitting on the pivot, not the best sign. Okay, and as per the volume profile right here, you can see that we're also sitting on the high volume node right there. Okay, next drop is probably going to be between this area right here, which is 6,200 up to about 7,000. Okay, and that actually also comes from this excuse this thing, let me turn this off. It actually comes from that 6,200 or 6,400 to 7,000. It comes also, from this area right here, this wick right here, as you can see. Sometimes when you see wicks like this, okay, this has been created as a rejection and then a base by algorithms or professionals, or price can come back and lead into this same area, right? Once price turns back all the way around, all the way down here, and then push back up. So while people are really looking at this top, the bottom half is really where, say the professionals and algorithms could be waiting. Okay, so just something interesting that I want to show you all. Okay, all right, so we've covered that. Now I want to show you guys the monthly as well. Okay, so here's the monthly. All right, now the monthly also does not look good. Okay, I want to show you guys the pivots right here. You can see the pivot on the monthly is also right there too, right around about $8,050, $8,100. Okay, so you can see that holding this pivot is going to be very critical for the next coming few days, coming few weeks. All right, any sort of breach under that is going to sort of open up the doors, at least as per the monthly chart, anywhere below, like anywhere. It could go all the way down to 3,300, or it could just stop at, that high volume node that I showed you around 6,400 all the way up to about 7,000. Okay, so we're hoping it's, the latter, right, which is the 6,400 to 7,000 range. All right, but one thing I did not like is, someone pointed out this article to me about third consecutive monthly red candle closes, and this is a some ominous reversal pattern called the three black crows. This is not three black crows. Okay, a three black crows is this. These are full-bodied candles at the top of a trend and setting up a good, strong reversal. The reason I want to point this out, and again, I'm not calling out anyone in this article. I want to kind of keep it not personal. It's just that I want you guys, as people who watch technicals, to be more educated as an audience. Okay, it takes no more than 5 minutes to Investopedia this, Google it, pull out a book, go to the library, research it, and understand that you cannot just make up stories or fill your bias by looking at something called the three black crows and not understand the anatomy of the candles, and then write a whole article which then is seen by hundreds and thousands of people, which is misinforming. Okay, this is my problem with most people on crypto Twitter or other paid groups or just people making up stuff like this, right? It's not true. Okay, even if the price goes down, it's not because these are three black crows. That's the point. So this person will probably never admit to their fault because they'll just say, well, price went down, didn't it? Yeah, no shit it did, but that's not because it was the three black crows, right? So the point is that, when you sort of see these articles, I want you guys to actually Google stuff and look it up. And even with me, I say that even with me, okay? When you look up stuff, right? Or when I say things, whether it's, different indicators or patterns or candlestick patterns, anything that I use, right? I back it up with statistics and data. And even in my group, I point out the direct source where you can look that up too. I have like maybe 10 books at home where I can look up technicals and show you guys with pictures. And I sometimes do. I take pictures with my phone and I put it up in Bitcoin Analysis, showing you guys that, hey, I referred to this book saying this about volume action in this particular pattern, right? See, the thing is, most people don't do that, right? They just want sort of like a meme picture that will give them clicks. And it's not really fair to you as a consumer of information, because you're probably making decisions based on these articles regarding your capital, whether you're trading or investing, and it's not right. So anyway, folks, just be careful and vigilant about the kind of information that you consume, because it is important and imperative and will probably lead to your money being lost if you're taking advice from the wrong people. Okay, I'm going to close this garbage out. Now let's go back to Fibonacci retraces. Okay, so I'm going to go to this chart right here. All right, I'm going to go to the 4-hour time frame, and I want to show you guys something interesting. Okay, so on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that typically, price likes to come back to, as per the ABC Elliott wave counts after the 5 impulsive waves up, price likes to come back to about 618 fib. I've actually seen in Bitcoin price likes 70.5 and sometimes as deep as 78.6. But let's just say we'll take the 618 fib. So on the 4-hour chart, where does that put us, right? So if this is wave 1, actually I'm probably going to have to go to a smaller time frame because it's hard to draw wave counts right now. So this is probably it on the 1-hour time frame. Okay, so it's probably something like this. Okay, so wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that gives us 5, and then it gives us A, B, maybe C stretching down a bit further. I mean, I'm not saying this is C. I'm saying the C is probably coming up right now. Okay, so if we're looking into C, right, it's probably going to be, let's just say at the very least 618. So we're expecting price to come down to 8,019, or if we're going to go deeper, it's probably going to be 70.5, which is about 79.50. Okay, so that is, again, you can see I back it up with data. I back it up from other sources that you can refer to, right? So that's the 5 waves up, 3 waves down. It's called a 5-3 count. So the ABC will like to land on the 618, but like I said, Bitcoin likes the 70.5, it likes the 78.6, so we can go as deep as 79.50, or 78.6 is somewhere around 78, 75 or so, okay? So somewhere around that region, Bitcoin could land, and this could then be, interesting enough, right? If I were to be a bull in this big chop, I would say then that would be a 1. This would be a 2. Then a 3 would be all the way back up here, 9,000, and then a 4 somewhere over here, 8,700. And then a 5 would, then take off to like 9,700, 9,800 or something. Personally, I don't think that's possible right now. I think we're probably, in that down count right now where we've already finished the smaller time frame 5. We're coming down to a C. But then I think we might pull down a bit more. I haven't quite done Elliott wave counts on this yet because this range is so choppy. I have no idea how to draw the counts properly without injecting either bullish or bearish bias. And sometimes you cannot draw, wave counts like that unless you completely remove your bias out of it. Okay, so I'll figure it out and I'll let you guys know. Okay, now on the daily chart, remember what I said. Okay. And by the way, on the 4-hour chart, we are still also under the pivot. The S1 is way down here, okay, 7,150 or so, right? So another reason why I'm a bit more bearish than I am bullish, right? Daily chart, again, also under the pivot. S1 is way down here around 7,025 or so, all right? So something also to keep in mind. Okay, so remember what I just showed you about that picture, Elliott wave, right? I said that we can have 1, 2. This is probably your big 3. This is probably your 4. This is probably your 5. Okay. So when we have 5 right there, we'll probably have an ABC correction like this. This is probably your A. This is probably your B. And then the C is probably looking to stretch down. Okay. So somewhere down here. Now remember, okay, as per this, we said that at the very least, it'll come back to 618 of this entire move, right? So let's throw some fibs on that, okay? We'll throw some fibs on it from this bottom to this top. Oops, that top right there. And we'll turn on the 618, 78.6, and the 70.5. So look where we are right now, okay? Whoops, actually, I think we're right at the 50 fib. Just under it, okay. So we're at the 50 fib. The 618 is right around $7,200. So at the very least, if we were to make the ABC count, we can say that price is probably going to come down to the $7,200 fib. But my guess is, all right, and this is where things get interesting. I personally think that at some point we're going to land down here. Okay, the 70.5 to the 78.6. Now this is going to be really critical to hold. Because if this does not get held as per the 3 waves down count, more than likely we could go down to where this rejection right here was formed. This, or I guess first you can make the argument that we could at least fall somewhere down here around 5,000, but I would say there's a higher chance we go to about $4,400 or so. That's if we don't hold this block right here. So it is imperative for Bitcoin to hold this block. I personally don't think the 618 is going to hold. That's just my opinion. Again, wholly my opinion. But it's also not just opinion based on, just pulling numbers out the butt. It's that Bitcoin likes the 70.5 fib. It likes the 78.6 fib. It likes deeper retracements, okay? Why? I don't know. Maybe the algorithms are just programmed that way. Maybe there's just excessive volatility where people have, aggressive amount of Bitcoin to get stopped out at deeper levels. They don't care for fibs like, algorithms do. So I don't know. Maybe they just like deeper retracements. They have a higher tolerance for pain, right? So with that being said, that takes us a bit deeper, way down here. So this is where I personally think that if Bitcoin personally does not, land somewhere in here and then bounce up, okay, over the coming months, right? Not going to be a good sign for the market. If it goes under this block right here, I would expect maybe a sideways down here again, or maybe a lower low. From $3,100, a lower low. It could be 2,500, 2,000, something like that. Okay, and that lower low would probably again go for another reaccumulation right here, push back up, and potentially either create another high or another lower high, because for the most part, this was a high, this is a lower high. Okay, there's no other way to look at it. I mean, any person who's telling you right now that, Bitcoin is still bullish and it has to bounce here is completely delusional, because, this is a clear lower high. Like, this is the definition of, potentially a reversal starting, right? And the reversal has already started. So that person doesn't even have an argument to say that, it has to bounce and it's going to now create a higher high as per this swing and this swing. Okay, because the technicals are already telling you, like, we had a descending triangle, we broke down, we're not holding the 50 fib, so we probably are going to go down to the 618 fib. This support right here has not given us a good amount of bounce. So what does that tell you? We're going to go a bit deeper for more liquidity. So that's either $7,200 on the 618 fib, or way down here between 5,400 and 6,300. Okay. So different things to look at, folks. Smaller time frames to large. I've given you an example of how I look at the counts. I've given you an example of what bad research looks like, as per that 3 Black Crows article. I've also told you guys yesterday that weekends are typically low volume, as you can see, Saturday and Sunday. You can look this up on skew.com. Okay, and really not a whole lot happens on the weekends, to be honest. Like, no pivotal moves happen on the weekends. It's more like sideways chopping, here and there, maybe some run on the shorts and then come back down to the original range. That's really it, So I hope you guys enjoy my analysis, folks. I like to do these analysis for our community, as well as you guys, who are watching this for free, because I want you guys to stay informed. Information is by far, the most important thing that we can consume, because it keeps us aware of what's happening in, whatever topic that we're looking into. And good information at that is by far the most essential thing, because, once you start opening the doors to bad information, it clouds your judgment, and it basically takes you back, 2 steps or 5 steps from achieving, better knowledge, achieving more success in the field, the topic that you're looking into. So I say to you, look up better quality information, look up and even vet the information. Like I said, Google it, look up articles, look up books, see if what the person is saying is true. Even look up whatever I say if it is true. All right. I've done an entire technical analysis course on this. I think you who is watching as a free consumer right now should buy this course just to learn the basics about technicals, because if you didn't understand how to draw the trend lines, the fibs, the horizontal blocks right here, supply and demand, all that stuff is explained in my technicals course. And once you buy this, you can come trade with us in these locked channels. Okay. And I wanted to show you guys some of, obviously the success you saw in the gains reviews at the beginning of the video, but, I showed you guys the short, that I had at 82.56. I'm still in my short. I'm doing decently fine. I'm just going to hang on to my short for a little while. I'm already almost $200 in profit, right? That's $200 on the drop. I'm on a 10x short, so my profits are much larger already. So, and then we also have, these short-term channels. Okay, I actually just put out this trade a couple days ago. You can see right here, my entry was about 25.50 or so. And I was going for 2,700 and 2,900 for my targets on ZRX. You could see right there. Yesterday we hit about 2,800 Satoshis right here on ZRX. So my first target got hit, and now I'm waiting for my second target, which is about 2,900. All right. So that was an easy trade. Like I said, I love to trade. I like to, make money in the markets. It's how I survive, right? It's how I run this group. It's how you can see, I know what I'm doing. Okay. So I hope this analysis helps you. I hope you spread the word. I hope you hit the like button, and I hope you come join. Okay. Take care. Cheers, and have a great weekend.